Our state's #1 industry. Today on Spotlight Now, we spotlight tourism and speak to two leaders in the industry who are really working to help tourism despite what's happened on Maui.
Mufi Hannemann is here from HLTA along with Jeff Wagner from Outrigger. Spotlight Now starts now.
You're watching Spotlight Now with Ryan Kalei-Suji and Yunji Denise on Hawaii News Now. Have questions or comments for our guests? Join the conversation in our Facebook live stream. Spotlight Now, where Hawaii comes to talk.
Well, thanks for tuning in here to Spotlight Now on Hawaii News Now. We are focusing in on tourism, and we want to welcome in Mufi Hannemann, who's joining us today. He is the president and CEO of the Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association. Thanks so much, Mufi, for joining us.
Glad to be here.
We want to first start off with your role, not only with HLTA, but also with HTA. You've been recently named to chair the board at HTA, and we want to get an update with all that is happening with HTA. Over the last few years, we have seen some lawmakers who maybe feel that HTA isn't as important as it needs to be. There's been talked about the struggles for funding for the organization and the department as a whole. What can you tell us about your role, and as you've taken over the reins here of HTA, what you're trying to do to help sustain this long term?
Yeah, well, I go back to the formation of the Hawaii Tourism Authority, and it was done back in the day to ensure that there was a centralized agency that would basically disperse some of the transit accommodation taxes that we get to promote Hawaii. And when I was the director of DBED, we had the Hawaii Visitors Bureau. HTA wasn't around. So now that HTA is there, I really want to try to change the conversation as a board member. HTA standing for, in some people's mind, Hawaii Tourism Afterthought. I wanted to go back to being an authority and do it in a collaborative way. So we've been working very hard at the legislature to have open lines of communication, be transparent, be open, and then also work towards perhaps eliminating any more talk about abolishing HTA or putting it within another department, and then to make sure that we reverse the trend of HTA being defunded by the legislature as it was the past 2 years. I'd like to see the legislature put some monies in there so that when it goes to the governor, he basically releases it. So we're making some headway, believe it or not. There's stronger lines of communication. There are lawmakers there that want to help us. I note with great interest that Speaker Psyche said in an interview that there should be an independent Hawaii Tourism Authority with flexibility. And that's exactly how we feel. We've had tremendous support from the Ways and Means Chair and Senator Donovan Dela Cruz, working with the Tourism Chair on the House side, Sean Quinlan, and the Tourism Chair on the Senate side, Senator Linda Coit, to ensure that we have an HTA that makes sense for everyone and will do all the things that not only we want visitors to appreciate when they come here, but what our local residents want.
You know, speaking of the local residents' perspective, when this conversation bubbled up in the last session, there was this perception that, well, Hawaii doesn't need to market itself, right? That we have plenty of visitors and, you know, we're a hot market, and why is there a need for this? What do you say to folks about why, you know, what this organization does and why you think it's important that it is an independent authority, as you mentioned?
Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you don't market, then you're just going to have any type of visitor to come here. And we're very specific that we want a mindful traveler coming here. We want a respectful traveler coming here. So that's number one. Number two, everyone's out there competing. And so we need to be visible in the marketplace to be able to demonstrate that Hawaii is indeed open. So when you had a situation like what happened on Maui, the messaging that went out initially was, don't come to Maui, maybe not, don't come to Hawaii, as some had interpreted it. That's why you have to be out there to say, with the exception of Lahaina, the rest of Maui is open, and the rest of the state welcomes you and wants you to come back. And thirdly, there's this new concept called destination management, destination stewardship. Again, when I was the director of DBID and working with the Hawaii Visitors Bureau there, all we did was just market and promote Hawaii. Now it's very, very different. Our people need to be involved. They need to share the mana'o. We also have to make sure that when they come here, hopefully they can leave the place better than they found it, respecting our culture, our resources, our ocean. And all of those things are very, very important, not only for today, but in going to